Well, are you ready? 5 new levels, new spells, new augments, new loot, new fight mechanics, new flagging, no hedge maze. Guys, we're just going to go over some real quick things, some new stuff that's popping up with the Planes of Power, and coming right at you. Getting to and from Plane of Knowledge, or the Planes of Power expansion. You'll notice that around every starter city in the game, you will find a book that looks like this. And upon clicking that book, it will teleport you up to a stone in the Plane of Knowledge. Now, you will notice that all of the good cities are in the north part of town. All the evil cities are in the south part of town. And then all of the neutral cities, things like Arcane and Charval, are actually in the middle portion, in addition to places like the Arena, the Nexus, Plane of Tranquility, and the Great Divide. New spells. Now, in addition to getting to level 65, there's going to be a variety of new spells and a variety of ways to get these spells. They're not dropped like in the previous expansions. Instead, you must obtain Ethereal Parchments, Spectral Pages, and Glyph Runewords that are dropped from various different NPCs. You will then take these to the library, and there is a specific spell vendor NPC for each class that you will turn these into. And the Ethereal Parchments will turn into 61 to 62 spells. The Spectral Pages will turn into 63 to 64 spells. And the Glyph Runewords will turn into 65 spells. Now, you will also find on these spell vendors that you can purchase any spell from previous expansion that is dropped outside of the ancient spells. The ancient spells you cannot purchase off these vendors. However, you will also notice that there are Eldon spells on these vendors, so make sure you pick those up. First thing, with Planes of Power is coming some new augments. These augments are released with the Serpent Spine expansion and are scattered throughout the various different planes. I'm going to post this one and let you know that this little baby drops in the Plane of Tactics. However, I encountered many other augments, which you will get to find throughout the expansion. Crafting. Now, this one's a sore subject for many people. However, one of the strongest items in the game is going to be gathered by obtaining 220 blacksmithing and tailoring. The Signet of Might, as well as the Signet of the Arcane. These two items are absolutely nutty in stats, and the only way you can obtain them is through crafting through the wonderful Planes of Power. You will be required to have quite a bit of skill in order to craft these items, and they do require crafting in several different groups. In addition to that, throughout the world in Pop, going through the raid zones, you will find patterns and molds. There are silk, leather, chain, and plate patterns. Each one of these requires that you obtain a tannin smithing hammer or a tannin embroidery needle. It also requires you talk to Boar Warhammer to obtain an emblem and a container to make the combines in. And the other thing you're going to need is a crafted item of ethereal sheets of metal, ethereal metal rings, cured ethereal energy, and ethereal silk swatches. You don't need each one of these for every combine, but if you're doing a plate, then you need the sheets of metal. If you're doing chain, you need the metal rings. If you're doing leather, you need the cured ethereal energy. And if you're doing tailoring, you'll need the ethereal silk swatches. And now what you've all been waiting for, the Plane of Time. Upon zoning into the Plane of Time, you are in what's called Plane of Time A. You'll notice that there are several little zone lines, which are actually sundials, which you can click on, which will take you up to the very start of the raid zone. Upon clicking one of these dials, you will be teleported up to the Plane of Time B, and you will start what's called the first trial or phase 1 of Plane of Time. Each one of the 5 trials has a boss and several NPCs, and in order to trigger these, you will walk up and step on top of a little plate in front of a clock. The clock itself is actually a door and can be clicked and opened, and you can travel within any of the trials. Upon touching the plate, after a brief delay, the bosses or NPCs will spawn, and you will kill them in whatever order. Typically, you kill a small mob, and then it pops into either 1 or 2 additional mobs, and then you kill those, and then kill the next one, so on and so forth. And each one has a boss. Each boss has roughly 250k hit points. Each boss hits for approximately 1300 damage. Each boss is slowable with the exception of the water trial, and they also buff their own resists. So just be aware, you're going to go through, you're going to clear all 5 of these trials. Once you clear all 5 trials, you go to the second trial. You'll notice that there is a section where these 5 trials converge into other clock doors. At the opening of each one of those clock doors, you'll notice that there's another pressure plate. You do not actually need to stand on that. Once you complete all 5 trials, the second portion of this will spawn, and you will need to clear out all of the trash NPCs as well as the bosses in the second trial as well. Upon killing all of the second trial bosses and NPCs, you will spawn the Warfront event. Once you walk out to this giant cliff and you stare down, and you can see the Warfront and all of the NPCs. This is a 14-stage wave event. Upon killing each wave, you will kill approximately a handful, anywhere between 5 and 10 NPCs, and then they will spawn 2 bosses. You will do this, go through essentially 7 series of this. Once you do that, 2 very large bosses will spawn. You'll kill those 2 bosses, and the portal will become active. Upon clicking the portal, you'll be teleported up into a tower. You'll notice there's actually no trash anywhere to be seen. This is where the real plane of time begins. In each corner of the first floor, you'll find a boss: Saryn, Cazic-Thule, Vallon, and Tallon Zek. Each one of these bosses is a beefed up version of the one that you fought previously, and we'll go over them individually now. So on the first floor that you teleport up to, you'll find Saryn. She has 1.5 million hit points, hits for approximately 2,000 plus. She cannot be slowed. She casts Torrents of Agony, which is a 1500 DD and a 40% slow. She casts Horrifying Affliction, which is a PB AoE that lowers your spell damage by 50% and drains your mana. And throughout the fight, she'll continuously spawn adds. These fights are no joke, so just make sure that you're prepared. Cazic-Thule has 1.2 million hit points. She hits for approximately 1900 damage. She cannot be slowed, and throughout the fight, she will cast Quivering Nightmares, which is a PBAE, which reduces your stats by 200 and increases your spell haste by 25%. She also casts Phantasmal Torment, which is a PBAE mana drain. She also spawns adds throughout the fight. Next up, you'll find the brothers, Vallon and Tallon Zek, and you'll notice that they're actually standing relatively close to each other and they path around. You can potentially accidentally pull the 2 of these guys together, so be careful when pulling. They also have very large aggro radiuses, so when you're walking up to the doorway, just be aware that one of them might come charging at you the second they get line of sight. Vallon Zek has 1.3 million hit points and hits for about 3,500. He cannot be slowed, and he casts Vallon Precision, which is a PB AoE with a small AC reduction and dot. He also casts Tactical Strike, which is a targeted feign death with stun. At approximately 50% health, he's going to spawn 2 clones of himself. Make sure you probably want to kill these ASAP. This guy trucks. Tallon Zek has 1.5 million hit points. He hits for 3,500. He cannot be slowed. He casts Plane Shift, which is a PBAE, 50% increased mana cost on spells. He also casts Barb of Talon every 5 seconds, which is a rotating, slow, and snare, 3,500 DD, minus 150 AC with a 300 hit point dot. He can also cast Talon's Balance, which is a minus 300 to all resists, and he casts Strategic Blow, which is a 2,000 damage, 500 dot stun. Upon killing all the bosses on the first floor, you'll come out to the main room and you'll find another sundial sitting atop a table. You're going to click on that and it'll teleport you up to the second floor. On the second floor, you will find Bertoxxulous, Cazic-Thule, Innoruuk, and Rallos Zek. First up is Bertoxxulous. He has 1.9 million hit points. He hits for approximately 1,900 damage. He cannot be slowed. He casts Rain of Bile, which is an AoE mana drain and 1,100 point direct damage. He casts Black Plague, which is a PB AoE 800 point dot. And he emotes throughout the fight, increasing his melee damage up to 3 times. Cazic-Thule has 1.9 million hit points, hits for 1,500 damage, cannot be slowed, casts Aura of Fear, a PBAE 2,200 direct damage with a 600 point dot, Call of the Faceless, a PBAE silence and snare, and Timeless Panic, which is a single target fear. Innoruuk, 1.9 million hit points, hits for 2,200. He cannot be slowed. He casts Barrier of Hatred, which is a 225 point damage shield and rune. He also casts Seething Hatred, which is a PBAE fear. You'll also find that he spawns adds throughout the fight. Rallos Zek. This is probably one of the hardest, if not, he's definitely in the top 2 for hardest bosses in the entire expansion. And Rallos Zek has 1.9 million hit points. He hits for 2,600. He can flurry. He cannot be slowed. He casts Blind Rage, which is a self-increased attack speed by 65%. He casts Rage of Zek, which is a PBAE 400 point dot and mana drain. He also casts Vindictive Strike, which is a 3,850 direct damage stun. And then when you lower his health, he continuously does more and more fun things. At 75% health, he hits harder. At 50%, he begins to flurry more. At 25%, he stops missing you. This isn't perfect. It's basically an increased chance to hit you, but he hits you a lot, I assure you. He also spawns adds throughout the fight. At 90%, he summons 4 adds. At 75%, he summons 4 adds. At 50%, he summons 4 adds. And then at 25%, he actually summons 6 adds. You'll find that there's actually a whole nother room with another little sundial atop a table. You're going to go in and you're going to click that, and that's going to teleport you down to the final boss in the Planes of Power expansion, Big Daddy Quarm. He has 2 million hit points, hits for 4,500. He flurries. He cannot be slowed. Yes, I know he can normally be slowed on normal servers, guys. You don't have to at me in the comments. On THJ, he is not slowable. Every 25% that you kill him, he will dispel himself and lose a head. When he has 100% to 75% health, he will cast the following spells. Epoch Conviction, which is a PBAE mana drain and lowers your spell damage. Venomed Mist, which is a PBAE mana drain and dot. Plagued Earth, which is a PBAE, you heard it, mana drain and dot. Infernal Flames, which is a 3,000 point direct damage. And Glacial Blast, which is a 3,000 direct damage spell. As you do damage to him and he goes down to 75% to 50%, he loses the Infernal Flame spell. When he gets to 50% down to 25%, he loses the Glacial Blast spell. And when he hits 25% to 0%, he loses Venom Blast. Upon completing this little gem, you're going to get the fattest loot that Planes of Power has to offer. Enjoy and be rewarded for all your hard work. It's strange. You've killed everything. And yet, something darker still stirs. Good luck.